All right, I want to talk about where the Detroit Pistons definitely got stronger at, in the offseason, this offseason so far. Their depth is ridiculous. I don't think people look at the depth that they have. And I said so far in the comment section because it's so far, but they've done a great job so far, depth wise. They've done a tremendous job so far with the depth that they have on this roster. AI is a little bit off on what's going on because some of these moves aren't official. But when you look at what they've done, their depth is truly ridiculous. Um, so you go look at Cade. I don't know. Okay, Cade. Sasser's gone. Cade, Karis LeVert, Duncan Robinson, Isaiah Joe, Dennis Jenkins, Kevin Herter. You know what I'm saying? Then you go down here and you look at, some of the things that they've done here. They don't have a Buka Corey in there yet, but you got John Collins, Javante Green, Sar Thompson, Ron Hollins, John Collins, Javante Green at the forward position. They got better shooting from Tobias Harris, and then they got rid of Isaiah Stewart, but they got this. I don't know why they got Abuka Corey as a center, but they got the other center that they traded for, Abuka Corey, Paul Reed. The other center they got Paul Reed, Jalen Duren. So they got a lot of depth here. When you start to look at this roster, Paul Reed, Jalen Duren probably be back. The kid they drafted, I don't know much about him. People keep talking about him. I don't know how much he'll play. And then, you look here and you say you got John Collins, Ron Hollins, Javante Green. They just brought back Asar Thompson. You know what I'm saying? They got better at the forward position. Some of these guys, Karis LeVert play, these are interchangeable Kevin Herter, Dennis Jenkins, so Isaiah Joe. They've done a great job. So when you start talking about shooters, you got Duncan, you got Herter, who I think they believe will shoot the ball a lot better, getting his feet wet. You got guys that can get one of the only guys on the team outside of Cade that can get his own shot is Dennis Jenkins, another guy that can get his own shot, Abuka Corey. So they only got three guys that can get their own shot. Karis LeVert also four, depending on what he's gonna do. But all this thick depth they got, especially at that wing position with Javante Green, with Ryan Hollins, with Karis LeVert, with Kevin Herter, with Duncan Robinson, with Isaiah Joe, at those kind of longer wing defenders, Asar Thompson, they let you know that a trade is most likely probably about to come, and it's probably gonna include Karis LeVert. It's probably going to include possibly Ron Hollins in that deal. And I think that's what you're probably gonna see, Karis LeVert, Ron Hollins within the deal. And they're probably gonna, Duncan Robinson. You're probably gonna see about three of these guys be gone in a possible deal to bring somebody back. They just got too much of a log jam at that wing position. LeVert, Robinson, Herter, which he ain't going nowhere. They just paid him. Isaiah Joe, they just traded for him. He ain't going nowhere. Dennis Jenkins, most likely, unless the really push come to shove, he not going nowhere. Hollins probably a candidate to go somewhere. I think that's the least likely between LeVert and Duncan Robinson, but he's a candidate to go somewhere. I think then you say Collins, Javante Green, they just bought there. So most likely, if you seeing them kind of slice some of this talent down, you're probably gonna see the trade candidates are Hollins, LeVert, Robinson. Those are your three candidates that's probably going to get traded. But they if they stay as Pat, they're definitely deeper than they were last year, to be honest with you, especially from a shooting standpoint, also from a versatility standpoint. And to be honest, the only real issue is they just still lacking shot creators. Now, if you tell me that Karis LeVert show back up and be the guy that he was, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that's enough to get you over the hump. But enough to get you over the hump is that Cade would have to take another step. Dennis Jenkins would have to take another step. LeVert would have to get back to where he was doing. And then Abuka Corey would have to take a step, or it'd have to be some magical dude on the roster that can just magically get their own shot. So that's where they still continue to struggle at, is just guys that can get their own shot. That's the struggle. They need to continue to have guys who can get their own shot. And that's kind of where the issue continues to lie at with the Detroit Pistons. So that's what they trying to add with Kevin Durant. But like I said, they may just need to go out there and get Drew Holiday. Worst case scenario, Drew Holiday, Shaedon Sharpe, or worst case scenario, DeMar DeRozan. They need that other guy that they can rely on to get their shot. Or if you go in there with a guy like Drew Holiday, a guy who can get his own shot, or who can get somebody else a shot, or he can sit there and kind of be like Derek Fisher and he can just hit an open shot, and he's a high-level defensive player and high-character guy. I think, if anything, if they face rejection with Trey Murphy, they face rejection with Kevin Durant. Even I'll just say this straight up and down. If you believe Abuka Corey in 2 years can be that guy, I would just go get Drew Holiday. I would just like, yeah, okay, cool. Kevin Durant, okay, fuck it, y'all want to trade. I would just go say, hey, let me go get Drew Holiday. Would you like to play here? Would you like to compete for a championship? You put a championship caliber guy right there. I would just go get Drew Holiday at this point. And if I couldn't get Drew Holiday, then I would just look like, if I couldn't get my hands on a Monk or a Zach LaVine, which I don't think is highly unlikely, let me go get my hands on DeMar DeRozan or Drew Holiday, and be done with it. You know what I'm saying? You do have the Benedict Mathurin option there. But I would just say, you know what? Let me go get Drew Holiday and wash my hands with this and start wasting time. That would just be my mindset of it. But they have a tremendous depth, especially if some of these guys can get back on track. But if Karis LeVert can't be what he once was, once again, you down to Cade Cunningham and Dennis Jenkins being your shot creator, especially if you don't play Abuka Corey. So you in the same position that you was in last year. Yeah, you got more shooting with John Collins. You got more shooting with Isaiah Joe, which can give Cade more floor spacing. But in general, you need somebody that can get a bucket. And even if Jenkins was to take a massive step this year and Cade was to take another massive step, two guys that can get their own bucket, that's not enough. Even if LeVert was to be what he used to be, that might be enough. That might be enough. But you want to be sure, because LeVert can go down at any point. And this is why I'm saying, if they're not going, make another move, which the roster screams that another move is coming, whether it's A minor or A major. I don't know if that's the thing, but the roster clogjam, the same guys screams another move coming. But if they don't, they might as well play Abuka Corey and just knock the youth off of him now and just get him prepared. But hey, check out Detroit Pistons Talk playlist. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate the love and support. Let me know what you girls and guys think in the comment section. Want to find me everywhere? Hit the description. Link trees there. Find me everywhere from Facebook to Instagram to X. Peace.